you want to be successful? Do you want to grow your business? Do you want to dominate the day? Then you're going to need big Skip energy.
Welcome to the Big Skip Energy Podcast. I'm Kayla Calendar, and I'm here with the Skip Wilcox, the Big
That's
Skip
true.
Energy.
Here I am.
And we are joined today by the Ashley Yarabinec, which, Ashley, I follow you on LinkedIn, and I know that you've gotten to meet Skip in person, so I'm jealous that you guys got to meet, but thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for me. I'm excited to be here.
We're so excited to dive in, and obviously, a lot of people probably already know who you are, but why don't you let our audience know a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I am the Associate Director of Relations at the Mortgage Bankers Association, but I also chair the Residential Impact Networking Group for the MBA, which is the Young Professionals and the Mortgage Real Estate Finance Networking Group. And so it's everybody 35 and under. And it's really a space for people to come together and network with each other, find mentors. We hold quarterly webinars that do professional development, things like that. So I do a lot with members. I travel to conferences and I meet members on site. And so I travel a lot for work, but I love it. I love being kind of the face of the member relations team at MBA, and me and 4 other of my lovely coworkers kind of face of the member relations team. So it's a really fun job.
How did you get involved? Because you've been there, what was it, 4 years? Has it been?
Yeah.
How did you get involved?
And
What made you
Yeah,
decide
you came from the credit union world, right?
yeah, I did. Yeah. So, when did I start? So I came from Penn Fed Credit Union, I believe like 2013, because I've been in the industry for about 10 years, a little bit, about 10 years now. And yeah, so I started as a processor. I say my claim to fame in the mortgage industry was my mom was a realtor growing up. So I was in her office a day putting
You heard
together
all that stuff. You heard all the complaints then.
I know. Well, I went through 2008 with her, saw everything, but I knew the language. I knew what she did, but I didn't really know the finance side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just needed a job way back when, and there was a processor position open, and so I applied for that and got it, and kind of quickly rose through the ranks to assistant manager of operations. And then we went through a big LOS transition, and so I was on the LO team as the training manager for a few years, and then they moved everybody to Texas, and I did not go to Texas. So that's when I started looking for something different, and the MBA popped up, and I have always kind of loved what it stood for. So it just seemed like a really good fit to come over to the membership side of things.
That's awesome. It seems like a really good fit for you. And it seems like 4 years. I mean, are you finding that in this role, you said that you're traveling a lot, you're getting to meet a lot of people, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. So part of my role with my associate director of membership is I manage a portfolio of lenders that are all of our members of the MBA. And I travel on site to their offices and train their teams. I host webinars with them, but then I also go to conferences and meet with all of the members. We do 30-minute meetings at all conferences. So sometimes at conferences, we can have anywhere from 10 to 5 meetings in one conference setting, and then all of the networking events and the social events afterwards. So yes, I'm in front of a lot of people all the time, which is really fun, but it's also nice to come home and fully decompress after a week. I'm very social and I need the social aspect of this job, which I absolutely love. But then I feel like I'm a social introvert at home, and I'm just okay, don't talk to me for a week and then I'll be good.
You got to decompress. I mean, you got to, right?
It's like you're an introvert on the weekends and an extrovert during the week. That's what I tell my husband. I'm like, we're talking so much and meeting people, and you're traveling and talking and engaging, that you're almost okay, I just need to relax and reset a little bit.
yeah, you have to be on and like 100% for 5 weeks at a time, or 5 weeks, 5 days at a time. And then you get home and you're just like, "Oh, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good."
Yeah. That's the world we live in. I mean, I'm the same way. Kayla's the same way. It's just,
I am.
it's all part of it, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
Ashley, knowing your backstory, of course, and this, we always joke on this show whenever I've got people in mortgage on that nobody really intends on joining the mortgage industry, right? And you were no different. You actually just had to have a job, which is actually what got me in the mortgage business to begin with, too. So, but that's kind of what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about the advocacy, the getting the younger generation involved. And my hope is that we can start to change the narrative a little bit for the next generation so that we have people that intend on getting into this business as opposed to filling it up with people that just happen to fall in. Don't get me wrong, that's great, but a lot of what you do involves growing membership and advocacy and that kind of thing. So just talk to me about this. What is it about that really excites you, and what are your biggest challenges? And we'll start there.
Yeah. So I feel like this is something I'm really passionate about. And one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to take on the role of kind of the lead for residential impact, the Young Professionals Networking Group. I am a young professional. So I feel like I'm in this space. I know what we need. I know what people want. I know what I want as a young professional. And I feel like it's not quite there. Like, I feel like I was trying to find it, or trying to find a community. And part of my job, I feel like I'm really lucky because I get to meet people. I get to grow my network and build the relationships. But I also feel like that's my job, and not a lot of young professionals get that experience, because I go back to like my processor days, or when I was a closer, or on the training, like you meet people within your company. Branching out outside of that, or really finding a mentor outside of that, is really difficult.
Right.
And so I feel like I got really lucky with my career and how many people I've gotten to meet over the last 4 years just within the MBA. And I feel like the MBA too is really kind of like a centralized hub for the industry, where we're in the middle, where a lot of people come to get all of the information, because the MBA is just a wealth of information within advocacy and regulatory issues and education and research. We have so much for so many people. I love being kind of like the go-to person for a lot of my members. And so feeling really lucky and being able to grow my own network has made me want to give back to the young professionals community and create a space for them to also feel like they can find and grow their network, because networking is so incredibly important in this industry. Everybody, like, it's massive industry, but it's also a very small industry.
That's right.
And I mean, I work just of my time at PenFed. I know there that are now all over the industry. And so I feel like I've worked now with people who are in different companies. And so people move around a lot. And so networking itself is so incredibly important. And so that's why I really wanted to take this on. And so within this role, we're really trying to create a space where they can come to the website and be able to find like tools and resources, like a justification letter on how to ask their boss that they should be at conference. Because I really passionately feel like young professionals need to be in the space for things they're being talked about. And whether that's a seat at the table at their own company, or coming to conferences to learn more about the industry, or to grow their network and meet people, they need to be there and need to have a seat at the table. So providing them with the tools to be able to go to their senior leadership and explain the value that they would be getting out of X, Y, and Z is something that I want to be able to provide them. The other thing that I want to be able to provide is kind of a mentorship opportunity with the people that I interview on Wisdom Wednesdays on LinkedIn, or people, so that they can go to find a mentor or know how to ask for a mentor. Like, I think there's a barrier that a lot of young professionals are scared to ask for it and ask for the help because they don't want it to be a one-way street. And I want to change that narrative and make it so that they're getting just as much out of it as the mentor themselves. Because a lot of the mentors that I've interviewed say that everybody that they've mentored before, they've got so much out of it just being the person for a professional that it was like the best thing that they've ever done, and they want to do more of that. So I feel like I could talk a million miles an hour on all of this because I feel like I'm very passionate about trying to really create space for the young professionals in this industry. And I'm kind of in the middle of that right now. There's a lot coming up that hasn't really been announced with Impact quite yet. I'm very excited for. So a little plug there to stay tuned.
That's right. I love it. I love a good teaser. There we go.
Are you finding that when you're trying to connect with these young professionals, are you doing this like via LinkedIn social media? Or are you doing this boots on the ground in person? How are you collaborating and bringing people together?
I feel like all the above. Right now, a lot of it is social media based. And I also feel like I'm trying to get conference sessions for people that are at conferences, but ultimately a lot of young professionals are not at the conferences yet. And so that's really what I'm trying to do. It's kind of remove the barriers of keeping them from the conferences. So we have impact pricing, which is the special discounted pricing for young professionals to get to our conferences. And when we get them there, I'm then trying to really create intentional content for them to put in their justification letter to get value out of them actually going. Because I completely understand that it's a lot of money sometimes companies send for conference registration and travel and hotels and all of that. I completely understand that, which is why I'm trying to reduce at least some of those barriers and as well as provide the content. So trying to get them through the conferences, through social media, and then when go on site, like I'll be in Dallas next week, I have cards essentially with a QR code that is Join Impact, and I'm going to be like physically handing them out to all of the young professionals in their organizations as I meet them on site. So kind of all the above. It's really a growing period for the residential side of Impact. So doing everything I can to get in their ear and get them find.
One of the things you just said really kind of struck me, and that was the letter showing the ROI, basically. And one of the things, and Kayla knows this, but I haven't really made a big public announcement about it. But hey, you know what? I'll do it now. I am using several different matrices to try and develop a way for financial institutions, banks, mortgage, whatever, to really be able to quantify the benefits of attending things like MBA events or something like that. So we can take the more, I guess, abstract, less tangible things and find a way to make them make sense dollars and cents wise, right? And it's all about the ROI. And I did not know you were involved in that. And that's actually really cool. So I think that's a very valuable resource, especially right now, because let's face it, dollars are tight in the mortgage business, but this is still now more than ever, there is a need to invest in those types of activities. And so I think that is something that people, frankly, not just younger professionals, but everybody needs. And it's good because I think that the younger professionals sometimes get overlooked when it comes to stuff like that too. So, I mean, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. One asked me how to get the young professionals up to speed faster because the generation that now is going to want to retire at some point. Nobody's going to want to work forever. So the people that are the young professionals now are going to be filling their shoes. And how we get them up to speed faster is by giving them a seat at the table. I have said this many times before. We have to train them and give them a chance to learn the industry, learn the why behind the policy issues that are affecting our industry, which is why advocacy is so important.
Right.
And it's the bread and butter, I feel like, of what MBA does is policy and advocacy and trying to get that information out. I really feel like giving them a seat at the table and bringing them into the meeting so that they can learn about legislative issues or learn about why your company is choosing to go one way versus another, or what's wrong with your company. Like, just giving them a chance to learn. I feel like I got really lucky in my position at PenFed. I was assistant manager of operations, and I got asked to move over to like the implementation team for the new LOS. And that broadened my horizons on the why, I'll put it in quotes, the why behind a lot of the things we asked of our operations staff and what we asked our members or our customers from the like loan side. Like, why are we asking for 2 years of tax returns and 2 years of W-2s and bank statements and all of these things? What's the why? We're trying to create a sellable loan, right? What does that mean? And what is the rate? Like, there's so many pieces that operations staff just ask for, but they don't really know. And so when I was part of this team, it really opened my eyes to a lot of the why after creating like the rules and regs and policies and procedures behind all of the different pieces when we were creating this, that it really opened my eyes and I loved it. But it like things started to click and make sense. And so that's what really elevated my knowledge, my career, and was able to really take that into training people on the new LOS system. And so when we're talking about providing young professionals with resources to be able to get to that next level, I feel so strongly that it's giving them the opportunity to be in the room where these decisions are being made so that they can learn the why behind the decisions, because that's just more, and allow them to be curious. And maybe, I mean, it's like cross train too, right? Like, you could have a processor, underwriter who's been on the operations side for 5 years, and they all of a sudden learn about secondary marketing, and they like fire lights under them, and they're just like, oh, maybe I really like this secondary marketing. Yeah. And they can kind of move up in their career to whatever that means for them. So I just really think it's giving them the opportunity to and broaden their horizons on everything that the mortgage industry is. There's a huge, complex industry that has a ton of moving parts. So
Yeah.
that's my soapbox.
Oh, that's great.
Because it's like baptism by fire. I feel like sometimes in mortgage, it's like, okay, here you go. Especially even in sales, it's like, okay, a lot of the times they say, well, you'll learn by getting burned, so don't do it again. Where a lot of people don't have that mentality. It's like, no, I want to do the right job and I want to understand, why am I doing this? And operations too, it's like, why are we getting these things? Why are we doing these things? And it's education and empowering the people to actually understand.
Yeah. Yeah. It also creates a better sales experience for the end user too, because they're asking you, well, why do you need these things? Instead of just because I do, or because I need it to check the box, you can explain to them and then educate the borrower why you're asking for these things. And so it creates a much better sales experience. And then your customer service numbers go up. So it's just a win to get everybody the education and knowledge around why they're asking for things and the industry.
So I want to talk a little bit more about advocacy, because us as professionals in the mortgage business, we tend to be a little older, right? And so when you think of things in terms of advocacy, you generally think of the two extremes as far as people who are active, the older generation and the very young, the people who are in their quote unquote prime. That's probably not the right word to use, but you know what I mean. So like Kayla's age, my age, which she's a little younger than me, I get it, but still, we're busy. We're trying to get loans closed, get things done, blah, 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 blah. Those are the toughest ones, at least I think, to get involved in advocacy. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I would agree that people are busy. I understand that the people's priorities may not be to advocate on behalf of our industry. And the one thing I feel like I want to say with that is MBA advocates for you so that it takes all of the guesswork out of it for you. Yep. So that if you want to feel like you are involved and advocating for the mortgage industry, we have multiple options and avenues for you to get involved. The free option, easiest option, is to be a member of MA, or the Mortgage Action Alliance. It's our grassroots advocacy network. It's completely free. You text a number that I don't know off the top of my head, but I will get that to you. But it's a 5-digit number that you text MA and your member renews. It's free every single year. But really what that does is we have an advocacy team that puts together calls to action. So when something happens on the legislative side or happens in the regulatory industry that may not align with our industry's values, or we want to say, no, that's not what we want to do, or speak and have the industry speak up, my advocacy team drafts a call to action script and then puts it on our website. And literally all you have to do is hit the button saying act now and fill out your address, and it will automatically send. So it's like we take the guesswork out of it. And that is you advocating, because we need to do that because of the power in numbers. We had a call to action a few years ago that we had over 80,000 people buy calls to action and got the rule reversed. It was such a strong reaction to whatever was happening in the state and that's why we say power in numbers, is because we need people to do that. But we're taking the guesswork out. And so that's why advocacy is so important and so easy to get into. If you want to take it a step further, we have MORPAC, and you can get to MORPAC, our political action committee. And that provides us the tools and resources for our lobbyists to be in the room with the people that make the decisions and be able to have some influence on what the mortgage industry has to say. So there's multiple ways to get involved. It doesn't matter what age you are, but I really think it's really important. And I think it goes back to the why behind why we're asking to get involved in advocacy. And
well, that's exactly why I asked, or why I brought that point up, because I wanted you to go into those things, because it doesn't mean that you have to take a lot of time out of your day. It doesn't mean you have to give a ton of money. There are options for everybody, right? And so that's what I wanted you to bring up. So you did an excellent job. I didn't have to lead you there. But yeah, that's the thing. MBA does a phenomenal job with it. And I think your work with the upcoming generation is going to pay huge dividends down the road, huge dividends. So what are some of your biggest challenges, though, as far as getting people involved in some of the other educational things that y'all are working on? What are some of the biggest hurdles that you come across?
So part of my job within the membership base is to make our members aware of what comes with membership. And I think one of the biggest barriers is the people that are our points of contacts at these organizations. We have really good relationships with, but we're really trying to get deep into the rosters so that people know what they have access to. And so part of my job is to make sure I am explaining to their entire team, because MBA membership is corporate and individual membership. It's not just the C-suite membership. It's their entire company has access to everything we offer. And we offer so many complementary resources that come with membership. So that's really what I'm trying to make sure that the lower level staff know about, that they have the resources that they can come into, like MA, which is the free advocacy network, or like all of our free complimentary webinars that we have that get put out weekly, multiple times a week. We have so many different free resources come out. It's really, and I think that's our biggest challenge, is making sure that each company is taking advantage of everything that we have to offer. And so that's really part of my job, is doing the webinars with their entire staff. Or that's why, to be able to meet with their entire team and not just the people that get to come to conferences or the people that can hop on the webinar at that time, can put a face to a name and know who to reach out to if they ever need anything. So I think it's trying to overcome just the C-suite members and really getting deeper into the roster. These are our biggest challenge. That really is for everybody. We have some for all roles within MBA.
Well, I think too, people rely on their company to just tell them everything. They're going to give them training. They're going to give them marketing. They're going to give them this. They're going to tell them about conferences. And in reality, as a mortgage lender, you need to be researching or connecting. What would you say to a mortgage lender that's wanting to go to conferences, increase education, advocate? Like, what tools or what tips would you have for whether you're just starting out as a loan officer or you're seasoned to being able to be better at those things or attend more conferences and educate themselves?
A great question. I think it's just asking. It's making sure that you have all of the information, because there is a lot of information and I don't expect you to know all of it. And I don't expect your company to know all of it. And you should expect your company to know all of it. Just like you said, you kind of expect your company to provide everything for them. And if they put in a little bit of research on their own, they can find so many different resources that are available to them. So figuring out who your point of contact is within MBA, or reaching out to me and I can point in the right direction, but just taking initiative and there's out there to make the connections and find the contacts. And that's really kind of the first step, I feel it. And then you'll be able to get those resources.
Are you finding a lot of companies, let's just say a bank or a mortgage company, are you finding that there's quite a bit that are not associated with the MBA, they're not MBA members, or are you finding that most companies are becoming members?
I think it's a little bit of both. We have a lot of people. So I believe we have over 2,200 member companies. That's residential companies and lenders. That's associate members. So vendor companies, tech companies, lawyers, things like that. And then virtual members as well. Yeah. And so I definitely think there's opportunity for people to become members of MBA. I think that now more than ever, we are doing a really good job advocating for all facets of the industry, whether that's a small IMB or a big bank. We have people working on issues that really affect everyone and doing it on your behalf. But we also provide the access and resources for the members to voice their opinion to us as well. And like a lot of our committee meetings, we open it up for our members to tell us what they're seeing every day. They're the ones in the do it every day. So we want to know what they're seeing and how we can help them and how we can act on their behalf. And so I think that's really where, if you're not part of the FA, that's the biggest piece that I feel like would be great to step your foot into at the very first part of that, is see what we can do to help you. Where can we help? What can we do for your company? We have so many different partners and opportunities for you to utilize. So I'm really seeing it kind of both across the board, where some people are, and I understand this is a really hard time in the industry too. So we're trying to be very sensitive to all of that, and people are just kind of trying to.
Very good. Very good. So Ashley, if I've got somebody that wants to get in touch with you to learn more about how to get involved in education, networking, advocacy, anything.
So you contact me. I know my last name is hard to spell, but it's ayarabinec@mba.org. I'll make sure that it's attached to the podcast. You can call me. My contact information is also on my LinkedIn, phone, my email, everything. So please reach out to me if you have any questions. If you're interested in the Young Professionals Networking Group, if you have someone on your staff is interested, again, it's free. And if you have any interest in MBA, or if you know that you're a member and just not quite sure, reach out to you or who your point of contact is, please reach out to me and I'll point you in the right direction.
Thanks, Ashley. I really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. This was so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for educating us and our audience, because I think that you have a lot of information and some tools and resources that people don't even know that they have. So I wouldn't be surprised if people started reaching out to you sooner than later.